Hello, my friends. Welcome to this English learning podcast.
My name is David, and I am very happy to be here with you today. In this podcast, we are going to learn English in a way that is easy, natural, and useful for real life. I will not use difficult words or very fast speech. I will speak slowly and clearly so you can understand me, and also learn step by step.
Now, let me start with something funny. A few days ago, I tried speaking to people using very formal English.
The kind of English we usually read in textbooks. You know? The English we studied in school that sounds polite, but also very strange in real life.
So I went into a coffee shop. And instead of saying something simple like,
"Can I get a coffee, please?"
I said, "Greetings.
May I kindly request 1 cup of your finest hot beverage?"
The man behind the counter looked at me with a very confused face. He even asked, "Are you okay, man?" I wanted to laugh so hard because I knew.
I sounded like a robot, or maybe like a character from an old movie. But I didn't stop there.
I tried this little experiment again and again.
I used this textbook English in different places. At the supermarket,
In the parking area, and even to a child who was riding a scooter. And every single time, people gave me strange looks. Some people smiled politely. Some people looked very confused. And some people even looked a little scared. For me, it was like doing a comedy show. I was laughing inside the whole time because it felt so strange and so unnatural. Why am I telling you this story?
because today's episode is about the difference between school, English, and real-life English. Many of us studied English for many years in school.
We learned grammar rules, long vocabulary lists, and very formal sentences. But when we try to speak in real life, we find it difficult.
We feel shy, or people don't understand us, or they think we sound unusual. This is because the English people use in daily life is not the same as the English
We learn in textbooks. So today, I want to share with you some very important ideas about real English. We will talk about natural sentences, tone, reactions, fillers, conversation flow, and even cultural English. If you listen carefully and practice with me, I promise you will start to sound more natural, more confident, and more like a real English speaker. Let's begin with the first point. Textbook English versus real English.
Textbook sentences are usually correct, but they sound too formal, too long, and not natural.
For example, instead of saying, "I live here for work," some textbooks may teach you to say, "I am residing in this locality for professional purposes." Of course, this sentence is not wrong, but nobody in daily life talks like that. If you say this to a friend, they will probably laugh or feel confused.
Real English is simple. Real English is about connection, not about sounding fancy.
I learned this lesson when I started copying how people speak in TV shows, YouTube videos, and movies.
I noticed that people do not always speak with perfect grammar,
But they speak in a way that feels alive.
warm and easy to understand.
That is why I always tell my students, fluency is not about perfection. Fluency is about being understood and about sounding natural. If your sentence has too many extra words, it will not sound fluent. It will sound heavy and difficult. So the first tip for you is, keep it simple.
Say things in a short and natural way, not in a long and heavy way.
Now let's talk about tone. Tone means the way your voice sounds when you speak. It can make a big difference. You can say the same word 3 times, but with different tones. And each one will have a different meaning. For example, if I say thanks in a warm and happy tone,
It means I am really thankful.
but if I say thanks in a flat, cold tone, it may mean I am not happy. And if I say thanks in a sarcastic tone, it may mean the opposite, like I am annoyed. The word is the same, but the tone changes everything.
No, in school, we were never taught this.
We only learned that thanks means thank you. But in real life,
Tone gives meaning to your words.
tone is like the secret sauce in cooking. It adds flavor and life. Without tone, language feels empty and robotic. You can have perfect grammar and still sound unfriendly if your tone is wrong. So, my second tip for you is focus on your tone. Try to make your voice match your feelings. If you are happy, let your tone show it.
If you are surprised, let your tone show surprise. This will make your English feel alive and real.
Another important thing in real English is reactions.
Textbooks teach us how to answer questions.
But they don't teach us how to react naturally.
For example, in school we learned,
Do you like movies? Yes, I do.
this answer is correct, but it feels empty.
Real people react in different ways. They might say, yeah, for sure.
Or, of course, I love movies.
Or, well, it depends on the type of movie. These reactions are more alive, more playful, and more natural. They also make the conversation longer and more interesting. I remember when I started learning these natural reactions. I began to use phrases like, no way, or that's crazy, or I love that. When I used them, people told me, wow, your English sounds so good now. Why?
Because natural reactions make you sound fluent, not just correct.
So, my third tip for you is practice natural reactions.
Don't just answer, react. Let your personality come out in your words.
Now let's move to another point, fillers. When we were in school, our teachers told us to avoid fillers like, like. But in real life, native speakers use fillers all the time. Imagine a person talking with no pauses, no fillers, no breaks. It would sound like a GPS voice, very mechanical.
Fillers are not mistakes.
They are part of human speech. We all pause, we all think, and we all hesitate when we talk. For a long time, I avoided using or like because I thought they were bad. But now I know they are normal. Of course, you should not overuse them, but you don't need to erase them completely. They make your speech feel natural. So, my fourth tip is, don't be afraid of fillers.
They are not a problem.
They are part of natural English. Let us now talk about another very important thing in English learning, and that is context. Context means the situation, the place, and the people you are speaking with. Sometimes the words are correct, but the situation makes them feel strange. For example, in school we were taught to say, how do you do?
This is correct, but in real life,
if you say this at a party, people will look at you like you are from the
1800s. They
will not think you are modern. They will think you are old-fashioned or too formal. Another example is the phrase,
it is a pleasure to meet you. This sentence is correct and very polite.
But if you are meeting a friend of a friend in a casual way, it feels too stiff.
People don't usually talk like that with friends.
They may just say, nice to meet you, or even just, hey, what's up?
This is why we must understand context.
Real English depends on the setting, the tone, and the relationship between the people who are talking. You would not talk to your boss in the same way you talk to your best friend. You would not talk to your teacher in the same way you talk to your little brother.
So my fifth tip for you is, always notice the context. Ask yourself, who am I speaking to? Where am I?
What is the mood? This will help you choose the right words.
Now let's talk about idioms and expressions.
Idioms are short phrases that have special meanings. For example, in textbooks, you may have read, break a leg,
which actually means good luck. When I first saw this, I was very confused.
I thought, why would I tell someone to break their leg?
The explanation in books was always dry, boring, and not very clear. So, many students avoid idioms because they don't know how to use them.
But in real life, idioms are everywhere. People say, I'm beat to mean I'm very tired. They say,
that's a red flag to mean that is a warning sign. They say,
I'm down to mean I agree or I want to join. When I started watching YouTubers, vloggers, and movies, I noticed that idioms make speech colorful. Without idioms, English sounds gray and boring.
With idioms, English sounds alive and fun. So, my sixth tip for you is, don't ignore idioms. Start with a few common ones.
Use them slowly, and soon you will sound much more natural.
Another big difference between school English and real English is conversation flow.
In school, we learned fixed dialogues like
A. Hello, how are you?
B. I am fine, thank you, and you?
This is correct, but in real life, Conversations are not like this.
Real conversations are messy.
People interrupt each other,
Change topics suddenly, forget what they were saying.
or even laugh in the middle.
Sometimes they don't finish sentences. For example, in real life, someone might say, "Hey, what's up?" And the answer might be, "Not much, just relaxing." "You?" Or someone might say, "By the way."
Or speaking of that, to change the topic. These little phrases are the secret to real conversation.
For me, it took a long time to learn this. I used to feel awkward when there was silence, or when the topic changed suddenly. But when I learned small transition phrases like, "Anyway, so listen," or "Oh,"
That reminds me, it became much easier.
conversations started to feel natural.
So my 7th tip is practice conversation flow.
Don't worry if it feels messy.
Real conversation is not perfect.
It is human.
Now let me tell you about mistakes.
This part is very important. Many students think they must speak perfectly. They are afraid of making mistakes. But the truth is, even native speakers make mistakes all the time. They forget words. They use the wrong tense. They say ain't. They use double negatives, and nobody cares.
Fluency does not mean perfection.
Fluency means you can keep talking even if you make a mistake. I remember one time I made a funny mistake. I wanted to say, "I'm bored." But instead I said, "I'm boring." Everyone laughed. For a moment I felt embarrassed, but then I also laughed. Nobody judged me.
In fact, that mistake became a fun memory.
So, my 8th tip is, do not panic when you make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the process. A small, natural mistake is better than a long, stiff, and rehearsed sentence. Finally, let us talk about culture.
Culture is a huge part of language, but in school we almost never learn it. In class we learn grammar rules and vocabulary lists, but nobody teaches us how to read the room, how to understand sarcasm, humor,
Or passive-aggressive language. For example, if someone says, "Oh,"
great. It can mean they are happy.
or it can mean they are annoyed. The words are the same, but the feeling is different.
If someone says, "I'm dead," while laughing, it doesn't mean they died.
It means something was very funny.
If someone says, "That's interesting," it doesn't always mean they liked your idea. It can mean they disagree, but don't want to say it directly. Without culture, you may know the words, but you will miss the real meaning. That is why I say learning. English without culture is like having a map with no compass. You have directions, but you don't know where to go. So my 9th tip is learn culture with language. Watch shows, listen to podcasts. Notice how people react. Notice how they use humor.
This will help you understand the real meaning of English. Now, let's review the tips we talked about today. Number 1, keep your sentences simple, not heavy and long.
Number 2, focus on your tone, because tone gives life to your words.
Number 3, practice natural reactions, not just answers. Number 4, don't be afraid of fillers. Number 5, always notice the context. Number 6, learn and use idioms.
Number 7, practice conversation flow with transitions.
Number 8, accept mistakes and keep going.
And number 9, learn the culture, not just the words.
My dear friends, if you follow these 9 tips,
your English will become more natural and more real.
you will not just speak like a textbook.
You will speak like a human.
And when you sound natural, people will enjoy talking to you.
They will feel comfortable with you, and you will feel more confident.
Now that we have learned the main differences between school English and real English, I want to talk a little more deeply about how you can practice these things in your daily life. Because listening to me is good, but practice is the key to improvement. The first practice I want to suggest is listening carefully to real conversations. You can do this by watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, or even watching movies and TV shows. But here's the secret. Do not just watch for fun. Watch with attention.
Notice how people use short phrases.
Notice how they use tone. Notice how they react. When someone says "no way," Listen to the way they say it. Are they surprised? Are they happy? Are they joking? This is how you train your ears to hear real English. The second practice is shadowing. Shadowing means listening to someone speak in English and then repeating the same thing immediately, almost like an echo. For example, if you are watching a short video, pause after a sentence and repeat it in the same way. Copy the tone, the speed, the rhythm. At first it may feel strange, but slowly your mouth and your brain will get used to speaking more naturally. The third practice is journaling. Write every day, but keep it simple. Don't try to write long academic sentences. Just write about your day using natural words. For example, today I went to the market. I was tired, but I bought some fruit. Then I met my friend, and we laughed a lot. This is simple, but it builds fluency. Later, you can add reactions or idioms. I was beat after shopping, but meeting my friend was fun. We laughed so much. It was wild, little by little. Your writing will become more natural. And that will help your speaking too. The fourth practice is speaking to yourself. Yes, talk to yourself. Some people feel shy speaking alone, but it is very powerful. For example, when you are cooking, describe what you are doing. I am cutting vegetables. Now I am frying onions. This smells good. When you are walking, say what you see. The street is quiet. The sky is blue. I see children playing. This makes English part of your daily life, not just something you study. Another practice is reactions training. Take a list of common reactions like, "That's awesome!" "No way!" "Seriously?" "I love it!" And practice saying them with different tones. Say them happy, say them surprised, say them angry. This will help you use them naturally when you talk with people. Now let us talk about fear. Many learners are afraid to speak English. They think, what if I make a mistake? What if people laugh at me? My friend, let me tell you something important. People do not laugh at you for speaking English. They admire you. They respect you because you are trying. Think about it. If someone speaks your language, even with mistakes, do you laugh at them? No. You feel happy that they are trying. It is the same with English. Mistakes are not your enemy. Silence is your enemy. If you don't speak, you don't improve. So my 10th tip is, be brave. Speak, even if it is not perfect. I also want to talk about patience. Many people want to become fluent in 3 months or 6 months. But the truth is, fluency takes time. It is like going to the gym. If you go once, nothing changes. If you go every day for 6 months, you become strong. Language is the same. Daily small practice is better than one big practice once in a while. So, my 11th tip is, practice every day, even if it is just for 10 minutes. Let me share a story. When I was learning another language, I wanted to sound perfect. I wanted to impress people, but every time I tried to speak, I froze. I was scared. One day, my teacher told me, stop trying to be perfect. Just speak. That day, I spoke with many mistakes, but I felt free. I realized that fluency is not about being perfect. It is about being free. When you are free, people understand you, and communication happens. That is the real goal. Another point is connection. English is not just grammar. English is a tool to connect with people. When you use natural words, tone, reactions, and idioms, people feel closer to you. They feel your emotions. They feel your personality. That is why natural English is powerful. It is not about showing that you are smart. It is about showing that you are human. Let us now think about what happens when we mix everything we learned today. Imagine you meet a friend and he says, "Hey, what's up?" If you answer like a textbook, you might say, "I am fine, thank you." And you? This is correct, but not natural. If you answer like a real speaker, you might say, "Not much, just relaxing." How about you? Or maybe, "Oh man, I'm beat. Work was crazy today." Or maybe, "I'm good. By the way, did you see that new movie?" See the difference. One answer is stiff. The other answers are alive. This is what I want for you. I want your English to feel alive. I want you to enjoy conversations, not just survive them. I want people to say, wow, your English is so natural. And I know you can do it.
Because you already understand the main idea. School English is not enough.
Real English is about tone, context, reactions.
Idioms, flow, mistakes, and culture. Before I end today's episode, let me give you one more important practice.
Record yourself.
Yes, use your phone, record your voice when you speak English.
Then listen to it.
At first, you may not like your voice.
That is normal.
But listening will help you notice your tone, your speed, your fillers. You can ask yourself, do I sound natural?
Do I sound friendly? Then you can improve step by step. Finally, my last tip is, enjoy the journey. Learning English is not just about tests or jobs. It is about opening doors. It is about meeting people from different countries.
It is about watching movies,
traveling, making friends,
and learning about the world. When you enjoy the process, you learn faster.
When you feel happy, your brain remembers better. So smile, laugh, and celebrate every small success. All right, my friends, we have come to the end of this episode. Let's quickly remember the biggest lessons. Keep it simple, use tone.
React, don't just answer.
Fillers are okay.
Notice the context.
Learn idioms.
Practice conversation flow. Accept mistakes.
Learn culture. Be brave, be patient, focus on connection. Record yourself.
And enjoy the journey.
Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this podcast helped you understand how real
English is different from school English. I also hope it gave you courage to practice and speak without fear. Remember, every day you speak is progress.
Every mistake is a step forward. You are not just learning English, you are building confidence,
building freedom, and building connections.
So keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep going.
I believe in you, and I know you can become fluent.
I will see you in the next episode. Take care, my friends, and goodbye for now.